Is there a myth that you'd like to bust? You know what? Seniors don't have options.
I called 79 places to find a bed.
Having the emotion actually further solidifies that you're the trusted resource in the end.
Welcome to the Empowered Elder Podcast.
Aging is something we'll all face, yet many families don't start planning until a crisis hits. A fall, a diagnosis, or a sudden change can force decisions to be made quickly, emotionally, and often without the full picture of what options really exist. Today, we're talking about how planning ahead can protect dignity, independence, and quality of life, not just for seniors, but for the families who love them.
Planning for aging, it doesn't have to be scary or overwhelming. In fact, when it's done early and thoughtfully, it can be empowering. It gives seniors choices, control, and peace of mind. Our guest today is someone who helps families do exactly that. Stacy Hathaway is the founder of Family Connection Senior Consulting and Placement. After navigating her own father's fall and dementia diagnoses, Stacy saw firsthand how unprepared many families are and how limited options can feel when planning starts too late. Today, she helps seniors and their families plan ahead, find affordable care options, and avoid crisis-driven decisions.
Stacy, we are so glad to have you here. Welcome to the Empowered Elder Podcast. What led you into senior care and advocacy from your corporate background?
Okay, so I got a call from my brother, and so what had happened is my dad had a fall. So I went home, he was not doing well, and when I started looking at all the possibilities of what to do, having care come in and all that, and when I started looking into it, in the state of Iowa and some of other states, you can have a felony after 5 years and take care of somebody in the home. So I was like, what? When I started researching things, so I brought him home. And I was still bringing him into the corporate office. But after the corporate office, he was moving around. One day I was giving a talk and he's moving out toward the elevator and we had all glass conference room. And I thought, oh dear, we're in trouble. And he disappeared. So I had to leave that. I went down and got him, and we had a lake at the time around there. And I said, what you doing out here? And he goes, I'm leaving to the airport. And I thought, well, let's go back up and we'll go to the airport. So when I finally got him into a senior living and into memory care, I joined that company so that I could be with him. But it was over a month's time when it first occurred. And at that time, I got to see how he enjoyed, and the people were so loving and caring around him. And I thought, this is the environment I want to be in. I want to learn more about this, and I want to be more advocating for him and other people. And so that's how I started in this business. It was just simple by accident from my dad's fall, and then getting into loving and caring people around him and really caring about him. I thought, I want to be a part of this. But our company started because we started seeing people maybe running out of money and didn't have another option, or somebody would come in with an early detection of Parkinson's or, dementia, and they didn't have much money and they wanted to come in, and it was like, you don't want to do independent living right now because we only have this amount of funds. Save it so that when you really, really need it, you can use that money toward your real care that you're going to need at the end of the time or your journey. So that's how come I kind of got into that. It was more of like seeing what was out there and what people were really doing for others. And then what could I do with my gifts to help these other people that needed help, like financial, whatever.
And a lot of people work in the corporate space, but not everybody would make that transition or that change. So was there one particular moment? Was it that experience when you had your dad at the office, or was there something specific that made you realize that corporate life, maybe we're going to put that aside and take a step into a different direction?
I think it was I saw how everybody was happy and helped each other, and that were really caring. And not that the corporate world wasn't, and because I had tons of friendships there, but it was more of doing for others and not just pushing paper and making sure that our product was the best, or what was our comparisons here, or that certain thing, and what's the bottom dollar. It was more about the love and the care that we could see people getting. And I think that's why I went into it. I just thought, I want to be a part of this. This is really cool. So that's why.
I like that. That's a good story.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite kind of memory of working with a client where you really felt like you made a difference?
I have several, but my main one is Pearl. Pearl was my first client, and I probably get emotional talking about her, but she had outlived 2 kids. She had a brother who was 86, and he was in the East Coast. She had cancer. She was on oxygen, and she was worried she was going into Medicaid and didn't want to. And so when she called us, we went over all of her finances, and we could stretch her dollar we found a place that she could go in. And then we said, as soon as we hit this marker on your finances, then we'll take another turn. And so we did that. And she passed back in March, but we moved her twice. We physically actually moved her also because she didn't have enough money for people to come in. But I fell in love with her, and we would talk on the phone probably every 2 to 3 days. I would go see her at least once, twice a week. After that, last Christmas and Christmas Eve, I spent with her in the hospital. She had a fall. We had to switch the places that we go because sometimes we start in one area, and then all of a sudden we get somebody, they have a fall, and then it's a 2-person lift, which is what she was. And a lot of places don't take 2-person lifts. And so we ended up having to move her again. So my boyfriend and I picked up a truck and moved all of her stuff, put it in the room. And she was a feisty little character.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when she came in and she's in on a stretcher when we finally got her into that place. And she looks up and she's like, that picture doesn't go over on that wall. I want it on this wall. Let's do it now. And she's in a stretch. Yeah. So she was a pumpkin pie. And and it just, so it was a nice thing. And because we only work with certain different places, we were fortunate enough to get her into that particular small home that had a lot of care. And they allowed us, or myself, they would call me. And when she was transitioning, I was able to be by her side. I put her by my home. So every night I could stop and see her, talk to her. And so when she left, it was huge. And then we ended up, and we don't do this for all clients, but there was nobody to clean out her things. And so we went through her things and we picked out certain things like photos and that sort of things. And we boxed it up and sent it to her uncle or her brother.
That's sweet.
Her brother. Sweet. Yeah. So it's just, that was probably she was my girl. But we have a lot of those stories. But
I bet you
that
do.
one is really hits hard. And,
Sure.
And, a year ago tomorrow and the next day I spent with her. So it was a tough one.
When you first met her, was it a crisis mode or was it kind of planned for that interaction?
Thank God, she did a plan.
Okay.
So we had plans in place, and that is so important. The crisis mode, we probably do about 86% of our business is crisis. And plans are the most important thing to have. When we are in high school, we take classes so that we can plan where we're going to go to college. We do the location, the finances, what classes we need to take. That enables us so that when we get to college, we're prepared and what we want to do. Then we take those classes for our career. Well, we stop. We look forward to retirement, and we plan for retirement, and then we get to retirement and we start retirement, but we don't do what happens if we have a crisis. Where do we go from here? And we always have a baseline. Everybody says, oh, I have a POA, which is a power of attorney. I'm good. Or I have a trust. I have a will. Well, that's the baseline. That's not what you're going to do if, let's say it's Joe and Frank, or Joe and Mary, and Mary has dementia and Joe takes care of her, but Joe has a fall and Mary now is stuck at home and there's no way to take care of Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see a lot of that. So we make plans, and that is the major thing. Where do you want to go? What is your financial? How can we plan that? Do we need to separate you out if something happens? How does that look on a will or a trust? Do you want to do a 5-year where everything is turned over to a trust? You have a child that may be able to take care of that and is trustworthy. So there's so many different ways and needs that you need to count on when you have a crisis. But you can plan for that so that it's not a problem. We had somebody, and I can't mention names, but we just had this about 3 years ago. We did a plan for somebody, and lo and behold, the care person had a stroke. Unfortunately, that person passed, and the mother had, or the female had dementia.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a plan, and we knew what the finances were, and we knew if one had a problem, then we had to separate them out because of Medicaid. And now we have the home, but now if we sell the home, now she has enough to go, or vice versa. So and they couldn't go as one. So by planning it, it worked out really well. They saved the money. They stayed at home. He took care of her until we couldn't. We had gotten a grant to come in to help pay for home care, 10 hours a week. And so then now she's taken care of.
It sounds to me like you're equating planning with like the go bags, right? So the families who live oceanside and there's hurricane planning that happens, right? They have a bag that they will grab if they need to leave their house.
It's perfect.
That's all getting all of that just like prepared. What will we need if this happens?
That's a great way to do that. And that's exactly. And we even try to plan like the paperwork, like even when somebody might have to have emergency come in, we always make sure they have the most form on that, and that each POA has copies of their insurance copies and all of just a whole packet, so that if primary one is the POA, they have everything. They can go, emergency happens, it's all done.
And Stacy, what are the most common mistakes that you see that families make when they just wait too long to form a plan? Like, what do you see as just a downfall, or how do you get out of that if you haven't planned? What are some mistakes that you see?
Well, most of the mistakes that we see is we get calls from rehabs or hospitals, and mom or dad can't go home, and they don't even know their parents' finances. And that's a big mistake. They don't know anything, or they don't have a POA, and which is a power of attorney. And then everything gets held up.
Mm-hmm.
If we make a plan and we have a will or a trust, we can make sure that what the beneficiary looks like. Not only that, but we can move forward and say, these are my 3 top choices. If something happens, let's get on a wait list. Let's do that. Let's prepare for that time. So that's what we say.
That's perfect.
What emotional toll does last minute decision making or crisis mode put families into?
Oh my, where do we start?
I was going to say, where do you begin, right? You had that look on your face, I could tell.
Because I have dealt with 3 families just today that are in that crisis mode. And it is like, we don't even have a POA. One of them, okay, well, I can get a mobile POA. Are they able to make a decision? So we are going to be doing that. Another issue is finances. They don't even know what mom and dad have, where to go. And it puts such a strain on the kids. I think that's the main thing. It's like, and they have families. We're in the sandwich generation. So they have families and they work. Most times people work, so they can't take off. So that's where we come in, and that's the thing. It's the very emotional toll it takes on everybody, and then tempers get sideways, and a lot of times siblings get sideways with each other, and it causes issues that way. So if we can make a plan ahead of time, then everybody knows who's in charge, who's secondary, and then it can flow better. And everybody can have a discussion before the emotions are already hitting the fan.
Yeah.
It's like when they don't have the plan, they come in and things are kind of hectic. And I would imagine it's kind of like it's a project management, right? You're trying to manage the project and keep emotions at bay, but keep everybody focused on what you need to do to go forward, right? So that you kind of go through the process, but they're looking to you to have that kind of serenity and calmness to kind of get them to where they need to be. That's a toll.
And I actually even have a story because we had family members. Actually, the rehab called me and said, "Can you help mediate? We have a situation on our hands." And so I went into there and I put everybody kind of in their corners and in separate rooms, and we talked, what is important to you? What do you want? What is your feeling? Mm-hmm. And then vice versa. And the parent could actually make the decision. So what is your emotional? Why are you pushing this? Why are you pushing this? This is really what your parent wants. And this is what, and they have the decision to make that. Can we make this happen of what they need? So it's a lot of mediation sometimes just when it is in a crisis moment.
Try to avoid that for sure. I'd like to just transition a little bit into talking about staying at home a little bit longer, because we know that many seniors, they would like to remain in their homes for as long as possible. So if that's the situation, how do you help make that happen and happen safely?
Well, a lot of times we always meet at their home. We look for fall traps. We look for what the care is. Can we have groceries brought in? What are their needs? Financially is very big important, because if they can't afford to have care come in, maybe we can get them on a grant. Some counties do offer grants. Are they safe? That is the huge thing. Are they safe? Nowadays we can do a lot of things by having people deliver things and all of that, but mainly it's the care. Care runs around $41 to $45 an hour. And you usually have to do it in 4-hour lots. We do have people that will come for an hour, but that's $61 an hour. So we really try to see what their finances can hold. And when you get to a break point, most people, if they don't need the help, that's fine, and to go through and to look for traps and that sort of thing. But sometimes it might be adding a lift so that they can get to and from up and down stairs, which might be cheaper than moving into a assisted living. So there's a lot of different little tricks, but we just go in and we look to see what is safe for them and what is not. We would rather keep them at home than place them, but sometimes that's not the option.
What can families do to balance independence and safety?
It is really important to allow them, if whatever skill they can do, let them do it. Don't overdo the skills. Like if they can tie their shoe, or if they can dress themselves, let them. If they can make a meal, and if you feel like it's a danger, then go over and pre-cook with them, and then put it in, label it, call them, hey, take that out, put it in the oven. Did you turn the oven off? Whatever. You can make those calls. Oh man, is the oven still on? Is that what I heard? A click? Then they can go over, they can check without saying, did you turn the oven off? But so that kind of things, I think, really help. But they need to be able, whatever skill level they are at, keep them at that level. Don't do everything for them. And it also gives it's just like kids, it gives a self-esteem, and it gives them a bit of pride. So that's really important.
What types of supports or services are often overlooked to extend the stay at home?
I would say there's a lot of things for deliveries. You can also use transportation. Uber is great, but sometimes we can even have their like Key Transit or, MedRide, and you can have them picked up and taken to their medical appointments. Pre-cooking meals, having it in there where they can pull it out to eat, and they can be part of that cooking process. And if you're a female, we learn from our moms to cook. So make it fun with them. and that builds their strength. But so I would say that main thing is have somebody come in and maybe clean and to do their sheets every week. There's two places that people have falls. It's in the bathroom. Make sure you have grab bars all the way around. Also the bed. When they change the bedding, it's a huge fall, and no rugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, even I tripped on a bed this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do you're
When you're
leaning
changing
over
the sheets,
and
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Like balance
Right.
problems.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're down.
Or if you've got the comforter on the floor and you're changing the sheets and tripping over just getting to the other side of the bed, it's not good.
You don't have to be elder to
No.
have those situations.
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah, right. That's true.
I know.
Yeah.
That wasn't from a fall though, but yeah.
All these, I mean, we talk about the services and obviously there are costs associated. I mean, even when you were talking about the levels of care at home, it could be at 4-hour stints, or it could be, 24/7, right? So there's different levels of care and different services that individuals need, and it all costs money, right?
Yes.
But I think when people think about the financial reality and what that looks like, is there a myth that you'd like to bust that maybe they say, what, seniors don't have options? Is that true? And or is that a harmful statement that seniors don't have options?
Everybody has options and choices, and it's where you want to spend your money. And I think you get to a certain point. If care, let's say you're needing 4 hours, 5 days a week, how much is that? How much is it to stay in your home with your taxes, your overhead, and having to have your kids come over? There's a certain balance. It could be the costs. It could be people coming in that is family that can't do that because they have a family. So that is where we try to negotiate on time and also costs. Costs are huge. And sometimes it's better to go into an assisted living or an independent plus where they will have like an apartment. They can go out and have social and have activities, go places, go to Blackhawk, go to, all these different places, go to a Rockies game. And so there's a social end of it. There's just a lot of things on those myths on choices. And we've had many people. I just had one gal that called me about 2 weeks ago, and her mom fought it to go in, but the costs were getting too, we got her in at a lower end cost, but this community has everything that the higher ends have. And by doing that, she's playing bridge again. She's going on trips. She's getting a trip to Walmart, Target once a week. She's getting all these things, her food. She doesn't have to cook. Her laundry's being done. Her house is being cleaned. So she called me and she goes, "You're not going to believe this." I told Mom, "Hey, let's go out to lunch." She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy."
She's booked.
Yeah. She goes, "I can't believe this." And this is the one that had to be called every single day, call me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I had like 20 messages a day, and she works. And so she was going to take her on her lunch, and she was like, "Oh, I'm busy today. I'm so sorry, we can't go to lunch."
That's
so
beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. So there are certain things and that's when you feel like, oh, we got to win,
Mm-hmm.
How early should families start planning for the financial piece of the care and the options, and how does that help?
Well, I'm at my age and I already have my plan. So I think, and I don't have any health issues, but if you see anybody or you go to something and you just see a little bit of slip, I would say that's the time to start making it, because you want it. When you say about no choices, or there's a myth that they don't have a choice, they have a choice when they're with it. And that's when you want to make the choices. Let them be the driver of the car. Let them say what they like, what they don't like, and then you can go forth from that. I mean, what about this? Do you like this? Yes, I do. Now, things could change, like if they have a fall or something like that, but at least they have made choices and you kind of know that direction and what they liked. And so I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
You truly are an advocate for seniors and for when they're navigating complex systems. How did you... Gosh, I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this question is what role do you see in advocating for seniors and coming up with these situations? Because not everybody has an advocate, right?
No.
So not everybody has that ability or even know to where to find an advocate, because they could be in their homes or not planning. They don't know what they don't know, right? So tell me a little bit about how you see that advocacy plays such an important role in planning for seniors. I kind of went all circle around
yes.
that, but that's kind of what
I'm just going to give you one, and I can't mention the rehab, but this lady had a fall. She was a 2-person lift, and the rehab was insistent on sending them to their sister community, which was skilled nursing. Skilled nursing is $15,000 to $18,000 a month.
Wait.
Let's
back up.
restate that for just a second.
A lot of times,
15 to 18,000
yes.
a month.
And that's a decent one. You can get cheaper. But they were going to send this person to their team was going to send it, and I can't say things, but so luckily I had worked with the family. I knew their finances. The mother would go bankrupt in a quick second. She didn't even have that much in her account. She had $25,000 and she had her house. So when I talked to the family, I said, we can move her to a small group home. There's ways we can do that. And I explained it. And what we can do, I would like the opportunity to see if I can have this particular small group home help. And they could. That we negotiated the price down. It was $5,200 a month versus $15,000. And we had to go to the top brass to fight to get that done. They have never called me again for any placement, but the thing is we had to do the right thing by the client.
I mean, that's advocacy at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, so we do that, and we do negotiate. We use certain people, and we negotiate those costs and what can we do to help, and then sometimes, like for her, what we did is we did a spend down, and on that for you pay up front for a Medicaid place, so then that affords you to get maybe a better or a higher quality, because you're not going just straight into Medicaid. So we negotiated with that, and we got her house sold. I called up a friend that's in the real estate. I didn't know at that time, but now he has since retired, and he helped them sell, and we knew of people to clean out the house. She was a hoarder, and certainly, she ended up passing 6 months. So if we had paid the other, we would have never. It would have gone really bad. It was really bad because she had a reverse mortgage. So this way, at least the kids got something.
Right.
But they weren't concerned about that. It was about her care.
Let's go back a little bit and talk a little bit more about Pearl.
Oh, yes.
She's clearly your heart.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to get emotional. Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Because it's, yeah.
What did you learn about yourself and the process in working with Pearl?
That everybody is individualized and everybody has needs and cares and wants. And I think because we got so entangled, it made me want to fight for her, and to also, sorry, I don't mean to get emotional.
You're good.
And to do everything I possibly could in my power to make sure that she was happy. And I think it really stuck a note. And ever since that, it has everybody I take on, they're personal. It's individualized.
Certainly shows how you approach your work today because of that experience.
Please
right?
don't apologize.
Oh, no.
This shows where you care, and that's the connection, right?
Yes.
You're not just a name on a list that people are calling for a service.
No.
You're truly heart-centered. Like, it's clear. And I mean, that's beautiful. Don't apologize for that.
Sorry. I know it's not super professional. And
No. But it is because you're in human service.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Service of other humans. And so having the emotion actually further solidifies that you're the trusted resource and the advocate.
We try to do everything, and we individualize everything. And if somebody calls, we had a call from someone who was not, because our expertise is 55 and plus, but we had a gentleman call that was 53. and had some major health care problems, but was unable, and he's Medicaid, and makes, $870 a month, and needed something that was this last week. And so I put my feelers out because most of my people are in communities and that sort of thing. But we did find a place that will take him. But it was probably 50, 60 calls and then wait for answers and stuff. And so then I called him this weekend, and we're 24/7. I know we shouldn't probably be, but I am 24/7. And we gave him the news. Yeah, this is what we need from you. And
How was that call to make?
It is so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than a paycheck. It's better than winning the lottery. When you know that you have saved somebody from going onto the streets,
Sure.
it's they matter. Everybody matters. And sometimes, some of us have been luckier than others.
You definitely lead with heart. That's quite evident for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think in talking to the listeners, what would you say is one step that families can take as they're gathering, just to have those conversations about starting to plan without making it feel like it's an overwhelmed situation? How do you start that conversation?
That's a good question, because every family member is different. We have some that are in denial and some that say, yes, I'm having a problem, and just say, I think honesty and loving and coming from a good thing, maybe while you're having coffee in the morning, and just personal thing, and say, Mom, I noticed, are you having trouble maybe seeing or hearing, or do we need to maybe, because if they're not hearing, or you see that they're not engaging with you, first of all, check the hearing and just say, are you hearing okay? And maybe go to one side or the other and kind of whisper something to see if they hear it, but notice their cues. If they're engaging with other people, but then you go into talking to them. And I would say, just be honest. A lot of times people can't do that, and they see that their parents need help. And that's when we get a call. And I always tell them, introduce me as your friend. Introduce me as a friend. And I come over and we just chit chat, and we'll do kind of a little bit of an assessment to see what we're doing. But you can even have a girlfriend come over, see if there's assessment, and then just say, I noticed that you maybe, forgot about that, or, does that bother you? Or did you notice that? Or, but don't make it at them.
That's
because
important.
that all of a sudden then you're going to get pushback.
And what about the senior who wants to start the conversation with some clear pushback that they expect or anticipate from the family?
Sometimes it's like, yeah, I think that I would like to, maybe I'd like to look for some help. Maybe around the house I'm getting tired and this or that. It's hard. I don't really like cooking anymore. Joey, I don't see Joey as much, and I'd really like to maybe socialize a little more, and maybe going to church on Saturday or Sunday. It's just not enough. I'm thinking, and I'm not driving as well, or I'm having a harder time seeing during nights. I'm thinking that maybe I would like to maybe try some independent places, or
See what my choices are.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just for so I take some of the edge off of you guys down the line. Maybe we should go and look at a few places and just kind of get a plan, like the POA and the will, and let's look at a few places so that we know that we've got this ahead of time.
And so when you're trying to determine what places to go tour, is that when you're meeting with the families or the individual, you're just kind of doing an assessment to know what would be a good fit for them?
I individualize every plan. I find out what they like, what their hobbies are, if there's something that they'd like to do. Are they driving? Are they going to have any health problems down the line? So we take everybody is individualized. I had one today that likes crocheting and likes to read. So what would be a really good fit is, and she needs something, is somebody that might have a book club, that also might have a library, and that might have the libraries deliver books or come once a week. She's very intelligent, so maybe she would like to have like something that interacts with their minds, or has somebody come in once a week or once a month that might do like Egypt or Italy or something that does documentaries, and they do have that in some of the communities. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It's not like you take a stamp and this person goes here, this person goes here. We don't do that. Plus, if you have memories, you should always make sure that you have it. If you're going to go into independent, make sure they also have a memory care, assisted living, a memory care. Not everybody goes into memory care. It depends if you're a wanderer.
Transitions and options for transitions
are very important.
Got it. What gives you hope when it comes to aging well and supporting the adults in our community?
Well, I hope that we continue to do more individualized things and that communities continue to get better. And before, it was nursing homes where they had a bed from here to here. You didn't have your own apartment, your own bathroom. Now we have 1 bedrooms, we have 2 bedrooms, so that spouses can also go, because we all age at a different rate, and that's really important. So I'm hopeful that we keep going in that direction, because sometimes people want to go together as couples. And I think that that would be a really good thing if we could continue to, even if there's a memory care that has another, there are some, but they're pretty pricey, but that they could age in place together. And we start to see that turn. And that's kind of nice.
It's about having options, right?
It is about having options.
Love how that came full circle.
That's right. Yeah.
No, that's great. Is there anything that you can think of that we have not touched on? Is there another story? Is there a story that you would like to talk about, or another experience, or another way that you have shown options to families?
We do a lot of things that are different than, we are not just placement. We don't fit here. And the reason being is we have a scale that's like this. We have people that do vets. First of all, finances are very important. The number 1. Number 2, we look at to see if they have every cost that they can get, like vets, anything else. Yes, we can put them in, we can place anybody. We try to keep them at home first. But when that is not safe, and financially that might not be a good option, then what we will do is we individualize and we will place. There are times that we do not take money. Where we're different in the placement box is that we don't get a first month's rent always. So what that looks like is that we can place in many, many, many communities, because not all places pay for placement. So when you get a placement, usually placement person, that's the only way they make their money. So what they do is they will only place in the places they're going to get paid. And that's rightfully so. They spend the time. You guys understand that with real estate. It's hard. It's hard. But we're different that way, is we don't always place where we will be paid. What's best for the client? We individualize everything. And if that means, like I get a call from Medicaid, I will try to help. I will try to find a bed for them. I had one family, he had some behaviors, and he was at a hospital, and they needed to get him out. And it was so bad that they actually had to have a security guard set in the room at 24/7.
Wow.
But he was Medicaid, and we needed to find a Medicaid bed. The case manager said, I can't find anything. Can you help me? And so I went to work. I called 79 places to find a bed. And that was over 2 weeks. We just know, and I'd ship, I'd say, hey, here's the medical records. And then I would try to explain what had happened. And there were some issues there that hadn't been addressed, but then we had addressed them with medication and that sort of thing. And we finally found somebody at the 79, that would finally take him. So
that's some due diligence.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is.
Well, you can't give up on an individual.
Right.
That is true.
Sure.
Yep.
Do you want someone to give up on you?
No, never.
Do you want your best foot forward always with that person, and you want somebody to advocate for you? So that's what we do.
That's a good. Yep.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
I love the fact that when you tell stories and you make it applicable, and so people can relate to the stories and hearing about Pearl and the different.
And sharing your emotions.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Well, that I can't help.
No.
But that means that
it does hit
connected.
Hard. Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It does hit hard.
Yeah.
So
rightfully so.
Yeah. And you get some of the toughest cases, and we get probably in Denver, we get most of the complicated cases. That's who we usually get.
That's because people know you care.
I was going to say, and they know you can find solutions.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Very solution
But
oriented.
it's hard because sometimes you're just like, oh, this is just awful.
Have you ever had it when a situation where there was no solution? Have you had that, or have you always been able to come up with
we just keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like I said, 79 homes or call.
So she doesn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's like, what can we do? How can I help? Yeah.
Who do I know?
What do we know? I know. Oh, honey, that's how it happened.
I would just wonder, do you run out of like communities to go and find a bed? Like at what point,
Well,
at 79,
there's communities that you start with, and then it's like, well, do you know of this? Do you know of this? Well, we could move him to Colorado Springs. We could move him up to Fort Collins.
Got it.
I mean, we're going to have to think out of the box for this. And
But I think that's the beauty of it, because you're not bringing the box to the table, right? You're solutioning for the right box for them. That's that individualization. But it's not a preconceived they're going to have A, B, C options.
No.
It's, okay, what are your needs? And then let's fit the options.
That's exactly how we do it.
I think that's wonderful.
And putting their needs in front of yours. That's what's needed for the individual. And
Do the right thing.
Yep.
You know what?
All the time.
Isn't that, you guys do it too?
Yeah.
It's like, do right by everybody, and they'll do right by you.
That's right.
So,
Well, thank you.
Thank you for the
coming.
conversation. Really appreciate it. Today's conversation is such an important reminder that planning ahead isn't about giving up independence. It's about protecting it. When we plan early, we create space for dignity, choice, and peace of mind for everyone involved.
If today's episode resonated with you, we encourage you to start the conversation, whether that's with a loved one, a professional, or within your own family. Planning doesn't mean something is wrong. It means you care. Thank you so much, Stacy, for the work you do and for sharing your insight and heart with us today.
And thank you for listening to the Empowered Elder Podcast. And if you found value in this episode, please share it with someone who might need it. We'll see you next time.